Mark's shower ran, the sound spilling through the open window. Steam drifted out, mixing with the cool morning air. Guy barely noticed at first until Lisa's voice cut through. "You don't have to spy, you know?" she teased. Her lips curled into a knowing smirk. Guy turned, caught off guard. "I wasn't. Relax." She leaned against the fence, her robe barely holding together. "He doesn't care who sees him. Or me, for that matter." A pause. A challenge. Lisa wasn't just talking. She was inviting. Guy glanced toward his own house. Sophie was inside, lost in her usual routine, distant as ever. The disconnect between them had grown like ivy on an abandoned wall, suffocating but familiar. "You ever wonder why people stop looking?" Lisa's voice was softer now. "Like, really looking?" Guy swallowed hard. The air between them was thick with something unspoken. Before he could answer, Mark's voice called out, "Lisa? Where'd you put my towel?" Lisa rolled her eyes. "See what I mean?" She turned, walking away with an exaggerated sway, but not before slipping a folded note into Guy's hand. Later, when Sophie was in the shower, he unfolded it. "Tonight, 9 p.m. Your place. Just talk." He should have ignored it. He didn't. At exactly 9 p.m., Lisa stepped into his living room. No hesitation. No pretense. "You know," she mused, running a finger along the edge of the coffee table, "I was surprised you said yes." Guy exhaled slowly. "Why?" "Because you're careful." She smiled, slow and deliberate. "And careful men are the most interesting to break." It started as a conversation about life, about marriage, about the things people never say out loud. Then Lisa moved closer. Close enough that Guy could smell the faint trace of vanilla on her skin. "Tell me," she whispered, "when was the last time someone looked at you the way you wanted?" The question hit like a fist to the gut. "Too long." Lisa reached out, fingers tracing the outline of his wrist. The smallest touch, but it set fire to something he thought had died. He didn't stop her. A door creaked. They pulled apart just as Sophie's voice echoed from the hallway. "Guy? Who are you talking to?" Lisa's eyes flickered with something almost amused. She lifted a finger to her lips, then slipped out the back door before Sophie reached the room. Sophie appeared, frowning. "Was someone here?" Guy's pulse hammered. "No, just talking to myself." She hesitated. Then, with a small nod, she disappeared into the bedroom. Guy exhaled, running a hand through his hair. Lisa's scent lingered in the air. The next morning, Guy watched from his window as Lisa kissed Mark goodbye. Mark barely acknowledged her before heading to his car. The moment he was out of sight, Lisa turned, eyes locking onto Guy's. A smirk, a silent dare. Then she walked inside, leaving the door slightly open, waiting, inviting. And Guy? He wasn't sure how much longer he could resist. Guy didn't knock. He just stepped inside. The door was already open, after all. Lisa stood near the kitchen, pouring a glass of wine. She didn't turn around. "Took you long enough," she murmured. Guy closed the door behind him. Every step forward felt like crossing a line he couldn't uncross. "I shouldn't be here." His voice lacked conviction. Lisa finally turned, her gaze steady. "But you are." The space between them vanished. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was inevitable. Her lips met his, slow at first, then deeper, consuming. The glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor, but neither of them cared. Hours later, as Guy buttoned his shirt, Lisa traced lazy circles on his wrist. "You think about me now, don't you?" He didn't answer. Lisa smiled. "You will." He left before Mark came home. Sophie was waiting at the dining table when he walked in. a glass of wine in front of her. Unfinished. You're late. Guy swallowed. Work ran over. A pause. Then she tilted her head. Did it? Something in her voice made him uneasy. But she didn't push and he didn't confess. The following days blurred into something dangerous. Texts. Quick encounters. The rush of secrecy. Until Guy noticed something off. Sophie had been distant before, but now she was lighter. She smiled more, checked her phone when she thought he wasn't looking. One evening, she left earlier than usual, claiming dinner with friends. Guy followed. She wasn't meeting friends. She was meeting Daniel. Guy watched from his car as Sophie laughed, her hand resting on Daniel's arm in a way that was too familiar, too easy. His stomach twisted. He had no right to be angry, but he was. Back home, Lisa's message lit up his phone. Miss me? He ignored it. Sophie came home late. She smelled like someone else's cologne. She didn't explain, and Guy didn't ask. The next time he saw Lisa, he barely waited for the door to close before pulling her into him. She laughed against his mouth. That bad, huh? He kissed her harder. She understood. They never spoke about Sophie, or Daniel, or the fact that Mark had started watching Lisa more closely. One night, Lisa whispered, "What if we just ran away?" Guy pulled back, startled. "You're serious?" Lisa shrugged. "Why not? No more secrets. No more hiding." It was a fantasy, and they both knew it. But fantasies had a way of turning into something dangerous. And Guy wasn't sure who would be the first to pay the price. Mark wasn't stupid. He had been quiet for too long, watching, waiting. And Lisa had never been good at hiding things when she was bored. Guy felt it coming before it happened. The shift, the weight of something about to snap, started with a phone call. "You should come over." Lisa's voice was strained. "Now." Guy hesitated. It was the first time she sounded afraid. When he arrived, Mark was already there. Lisa stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, her face unreadable. Mark sat at the table, calm. Too calm. He gestured to the seat across from him. "Sit." Guy didn't move. Mark sighed. "You think I don't know? The late-night visits? The way she looks at you." He shook his head. "She's not as clever as she thinks." Lisa scoffed. "And you are." Mark's gaze didn't shift. "You think I haven't had my own fun? We all have secrets." Something about the way he said it made Guy's stomach turn. Lisa laughed, but it was hollow. "What are you going to do, Mark? Yell? Break something? You never cared before." Mark leaned back, studying her. "That's where you're wrong." Lisa's smirk faltered. Mark stood, walking toward the door. "You'll ruin yourself before I ever have to." He looked at Guy. "You should think about what that means." Then he left. Lisa exhaled, shaky for the first time. He's bluffing. Guy wasn't so sure. At home, Sophie was waiting. She set her phone down when he walked in, expression unreadable. "I know." His throat tightened. "Know what?" She tilted her head. "Lisa. You." A pause. "How long?" He couldn't lie. "Not anymore." "A while." She nodded like she already knew the answer. Then she stood and grabbed her coat. Guy's heart pounded. "Where are you going?" "To someone who actually wants me." "Daniel." Guy clenched his fists. "He's using you." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "And what were you doing with Lisa?" He had no answer. She walked past him, slamming the door behind her. Lisa's words echoed in his mind. "We all have secrets, but secrets always come with a price. And in the end, no one ever really wins."